Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, please wake up. Get on up. Get up, stand up for your rights. Stand up tonight. We got to get into it tonight. So just come on in. I'll let people come on in a couple more seconds. Let me know how you're doing in the chat when you step up in here. Yeah. It's time to get free for some of these people out here. This is Saturday. This is Sunday. We're about to walk into my favorite month of the year, November. My favorite month of the year. We're about to walk into it. It's November. Got some business to take care of as we step into, I guess, the Halloween season. Right? Halloween. A lot of things going on up in the universe. And it's Halloween and people are leaving cults. People are waking up and cult leaders in jail and people are coming out with hip-hop diss tracks. F your chief. There's a lot going on in these days and time. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is your boy Marwan here at Mind Over Matter TV. And today, as you can tell by the title, I didn't know that the T interview of Aaron and Kendra, I didn't know it was that long, y'all. Oh, my goodness. Hello, Sunfruit. I didn't know that interview was so long. I didn't check all of it, you ladies and gentlemen. So we got to talk a little bit about something I noticed in some of that interview. That interview looked like it was 6 hours long, y'all. Right, Peanut Green? That interview looked like it was 6 hours, over 6 hours long. I wasn't there the entire time. Shout out to Freedom Freed for sending me the link in the first place. Shout out to oh, y'all. But let's talk about your boy Aaron, aka True from Melanation Days. He was interviewed on that channel, and we got to talk about it. You know what I mean? We got to talk about it. No new info in 6 hours. But look, this is one interesting part, though. I like the fact that they both seem to be embracing the idea of mental health. They sort of definitely mentioned mental health. That Kendra noticed people were saying, hey, she gonna need mental therapy for her whole life. The way she took that question, the way she handled that feedback. The same with Aaron. They both handled that feedback with some sort of understanding, that I appreciated. Because therapy is the very least probably that they're going to, right? Because a lot of people do therapy, but there's so much work you got to do, right? They're both taking some kind of accountability. You can tell they're taking the questions and the answers. And we're talking about the trauma that they may have experienced. They have to be able to pinpoint what that trauma was. If they weren't ever beaten by Nature Boy, they got to talk about what their trauma was. It was probably trauma enough to feel like you can go slap somebody. That must have been traumatic. Although it felt some sort of power and they agreed, it was traumatic. How they were treating each other was traumatic. And one thing is important, ladies and gentlemen. One thing is important. Because as Aaron was a member of this cult, he wasn't just a member of a cult. They were sort of spewing things about how men should treat women, and they thought of themselves as model human beings, and all of this information was spewed out into the internet, y'all. That is another kind of trauma that they're creating. They're hitting people with some type of spiritual trauma with their nonsense, right? So someone came on the T interview and he had a question. He had a question. He had a question for for Aaron. And it was a long question. It sounded pretty academic. But this guy, I believe, came on. This guy came on and asked Aaron this particular question. And I'm paraphrasing. He came on and said, "Hello, Aaron. I'm one of the guys that pretty much you always blocked on Bigo, Aaron." And you know what? Back then, when you were talking, it was a lot about men and women situations, and you came from a position of patriarchy. And do you think that, Aaron, your message from here on out is going to lean away from patriarchy? And can you assure us that your message, Aaron, from here on out, looking forward, not back, is that you would start looking at how the women feel out here and how women are oppressed instead of always looking at it from the patriarchy perspective? This long-winded question he asked Aaron. And I wanted to see what Aaron said after that question. And Aaron said, "You know what? I'm not going to be taking any stances on anything." That dude Aaron said, "I'm not going to be taking any stances on anything. Look, I got to let you know something. What I'm all about is making sure that everybody sees the humanity in the next person. Everybody sees each other as human first." Right? They had those archaic views that they adopted. So that he was questioned on that in this Q&A, part of that 6.5 hour video. He was like, "Are you going to be coming from a male-centric patriarchy role where there's this misogynoir and all this other stuff and heterophobia, all these other things?" And I liked Aaron's answer because Aaron said, "I'm not going to be taking any stances on anything." Aaron said, "We had what we thought was some science, some top science. We had what we thought was, paradise." But Aaron said, "But we weren't shit." He said, "But we weren't shit." He's not going to be taking any stances. Aaron said, "We have to learn to see the humanity in each other." Now, the reason why that was important to me, y'all, is because, like I said, it's one thing that they may have felt like they received some trauma, they witnessed some trauma, but the way that Nature Boy was treating them, y'all, he wasn't treating them like a human that whole 5 years. There were probably human moments, but the way Nature Boy spoke about these people behind their back, in front of the camera, it wasn't a human experience, that CarbonNation at all, y'all. No matter what they were saying and, chosen and the elite, convict the weak, collect the elite, all this stuff that they were saying was blah, blah, blah. Their whole cult was so weak, mainly because the leader never really treated his own followers, his own family, as equals or even as humans. It became your mind is my mind. You know what I mean? Right? The way you think should be matched with the way I think. And that wasn't a very human existence. And that's what Aaron was representing. And I think it's a big deal. And it's very good to hear Aaron sort of go back down to that humble beginning where you don't know shit. Where he's now, hit right back down to the ground zero of cultivating his own spirit now and, building and creating with his own family, his own wife that nobody else can touch. Nobody else name Eligio. And I noticed in different parts of that interview with the T and the different questions that came on and the members of the panel, a lot of them seemed to be very impressed, specifically with how Aaron was speaking. As Linda Snyder says, "I was shocked at Aaron's intelligence. What a difference in his demeanor in a matter of months. Well, you know what happened, Steph? I saw a little bit more of I saw a little bit more of that interview. That's the thing. I saw a little bit more of the interview and listened to some of the responses. And it's easy to say, "Oh, it's just a performance," since that's what they have been doing, performing for Nature Boy, performing online. I liked his answer when that person came on, and he said, "Are you going to change your tone and start looking building up the women?" He didn't even get involved in the question at all. He didn't say yes. He said, "I'm not going to be standing for shit. I'm not going to be representing shit." And that's what we all say, right? We've been saying this in the background. Don't come out here and start representing some spirit talk. We need to know your healing first. The life you save may be your own, because you have people with wretched spirits, people with low lives who haven't even worked on themselves out here in the world, trying to go hard and do whatever they can for somebody else, hoping that they get credit, right? Maybe from God or whatever, hoping that they get credit for helping all these other people. But they never helped themselves. They never healed themselves. That's why it's probably a situation where just because you help somebody, just because you give to the poor, just because you, right, help somebody, it doesn't really make you any better from anybody else. Because you got tons of people with dirty spirits, wretched spirits, filthy, oppressive type people who just so happen to donate to causes, who just so happen to give to Salvation Army. Giving doesn't signify you're a good person, right? It would have been more authentic if Aaron would have taken the position of at least not beating women, as openly repeating that. Honestly, I didn't like you much yesterday, but I had to remind myself that you hadn't taken in the entire video. Uh, hey, it was real. I mean, we're talking about no matter what, right? You can't, no matter what, you can't like not like me necessarily, because we're dealing with what? We are dealing with people who were agents of the Antichrist, right? That's who they were for a long time. They would admit it. I think they are ready and they are mature enough, I think, for whatever smoke they're going to get out here in the world. But we also have to acknowledge some sort of growth that might be happening, that might be happening. And there's significant things that they said in that Q&A, in that interview, that do show some wisdom. And what is wisdom, right? I remember there was an equation back in the day. It is experience, right? Going through an experience. Plus, you have to sit down and you got to reflect on that experience. Experience plus reflection equals wisdom. Sitting down and really thinking about taking it all in. What was it that I was doing? What really was, and what am I going to do here on out? So that's why it's really interesting that this guy, Aaron, says, and he admits, and we'd be the first one to tell him, you're good for people who need to get out of situations like this. Your wisdom, right, is somewhat limited and tailored for people who need to get up out of certain situations. We don't need you to be some guru preachifying, trying to bring people into some other spiritual school of thought. As you know, Aaron, you've pretty much ruined your reputation when it comes to that aspect of life, which is pretty much a private matter. People out here trying to recruit, people out here trying to spread the word to people, and they ain't even spend no time on themselves. They ain't shit. They just got a title, they just got a position, they just got status in life, but they ain't really shit on the inside. And that's what Aaron is trying to get into. That's what Aaron is trying to clear up. That shit that was on the inside. That shit that led him to stay there and be mistreated by Nature Boy, all while he's giving his best. That dude, True, was giving his best. He was all the way in. He will block you if you weren't representing 3 God. And Kendra, she would snitch on you if you were acting up. She would report your ass to Nature Boy. It don't matter if you're a woman or a male in the cult. Kendra was the one, she would report your ass. Maybe just like Serenity may have done back in the day. I believe Serenity was very much one of the hated because of all the reporting she did. The talking behind the back, the snitching. All these people gave their spirit the way that's the bottom line, right? So there's some aspect where I guess you gotta have to feel some kind of compassion at some point, even for the people who were active and smacking a bitch and jumping a nigga, because again, they sort of were adults. They were in that position and they could fight and get out. Had your own choice. We all saw everybody's choices in the matter. We all saw how they moved, how they never really bucked back against Nature Boy. And we can see which ones directly challenged Nature Boy, even while they were on camera. Shout out to Joy, shout out to Velvet, shout out to other people. What else we got? I will make the wise unwise and bring to nothing your understanding of what's prudent. I'm tired of people acting like we all should react the same way to the interview. Give us a break. Yeah, that's all good, right? What another thing I noticed is that there were a lot of people, maybe even the T included, who were heavily invested in some way. They were emotionally into the whole story, y'all. And I have to sit back and recognize that too. It's like in a sort of way Kanye had to step back and realize, hold up, there's some other avenues here that I didn't even think about. On top of the fact that I hadn't even watched a good bit of that 6.5-hour video with all of them there. I didn't watch all of it. But I still believe any and all of my reaction is justified 100%. It's all a reflection, a showing back of what they brought into the atmosphere. They brought worse than anything I could ever bring into this atmosphere. They represented a gay escort of 10 years. And I would venture to say they should have known better. Everyone's on their own path. Shout out to people like Nature Girl Neo. Nature Girl Neo made a mistake, she says, of deciding to go move and live with a weirdo fuckboy. Something that very few people do, based off of internet. But she was only down there for a day, y'all. And Nature Girl Neo saw it already, that there was nothing divine about the feminine energy there. She noticed very quickly that there was nothing divine about any of the feminine energy there. And that was important to her, so she left real quick. Had no problems with Nature Boy. He preyed on certain people. That's what we have to recognize too. And some males are prey. Some ladies are prey. Aaron, aka True, he was prey for Nature Boy. Nature Boy preyed on Aaron. Nature Boy preyed on Kendra. All day. Nature Boy preyed on these people. As they prayed to him, or as they worshiped him, he preyed on their spirits, which was a weird dynamic. All the way down to calling collect from the jail. Kendra realizes this dude don't really care. And then Kendra realizes she doesn't have to really care, because he's not here. And he also was no longer in her spirit. He also was no longer in her mind. So she blocked him one time so that he could not call her from jail anymore. Ladies and gentlemen, that interview also reflected, right? Reflected the wisdom of Aaron, learning through his experience not to put the cart before the horse anymore. Don't try to tell me you're the chosen when you haven't even chosen to take the time to to sort of build up yourself and to practice seeing the humanity in other people, not seeing the troll in other people, not just seeing them as haters, because Nature Boy said, right, can you imagine, even though they seemed confident and proactive, can you imagine the mental games they had to play in order to stay there? So we got some wisdom out of it, y'all. And this video is to give Aaron some props for that wisdom, right? Especially knowing he fucked up big time. You know, taking stances on issues and representing this dude and coming on live and using his breath, using his face, his image, just to represent that guy. So I appreciate the wisdom of Aaron that says, because I did all that, I appreciate the wisdom in Aaron that says, I'm not going to be out here teaching y'all nothing. I'm not going to be out here teaching, taking no stances, nothing. I'm going to be looking for the humanity in people, and we could deal with all the rest a little bit later, because that's the first thing you got to do. And that's exactly what Nature Boy did not do for him. That's exactly what Nature Boy did not do for his whole crew. He didn't recognize them as human beings. He didn't recognize them as human beings, and therefore, they didn't behave like it. He didn't even recognize them as gods. Not at all. He saw them as slaves. He saw that kid Jahumi as his future slave. You all were his resources. You all were his human resources, spiritual resources. So you got the wisdom, y'all, which is the most important part. That's when you know Aaron is beginning to, he's standing on solid ground. And he's probably always had some kind of a wisdom about him. Misplaced, misdirected wisdom. Wisdom based on being misguided. I guess his downloads were whatever. But now he sees that the most important thing, and this just happens to be what a lot of people avoid, the most important thing is you. The life you save may be your own. If you work hard enough, if you continue on it, you might be able to say, we're talking your physicality, your physical. You got to work to save your physical life, y'all. You've got to work. You've got people in their older age, bless their heart, but they're losing their memory. They're losing their memory all the time. You got to stay on top of this. You got to keep with your mental games, your Sudoku. Stay sharp. Make sure your body's sharp. Make sure your spirit is sharp. And that's a lifelong journey. You don't have no time, really, and you're not qualified. And you really have no authority to go out here calling people weak, calling yourself elite, trying to separate yourself, disrespecting somebody because they women, disrespecting somebody just because they men, thinking that you're superior just because you're Christian. You're not recognizing the humanity in people. You're not recognizing their humanity. Don't hang on so tough with what they believe. And don't you dare try to force someone else to believe what you believe. Don't you dare try to make me Muslim. Oh, so you a Muslim now. You want me to respect what is going on here? Shout out to people who have better control of their own mind, y'all, right? Untangling it from all types of lies. You got the American lies that everybody knows and has been impacted by. American lies. And they've just been hit by CarbonNation Nature Boy lies. Spiritual lies. And they were they were walking lies. Right? They were living, breathing human examples of a lie every day. Just lying, 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 knowingly lying, not really recklessly lying, misleading people. And that's traumatic in and of itself. People playing with your mind just because they don't know better. People trying to toy with you and confuse your spirit just because they never really did the investigation themselves. It's crazy, the deception stuff, and it starts with the self. The deception, you fooling yourself. You thinking you're greater than you really is. You're elevating yourself on some pedestal where nobody really should be respecting. It starts with self, the deception. I am God already. I'm God. Or I'm a queen. The deception. It's almost, it goes back to people and their representatives when they go out on dates. This desire to deceive up front. Like, damn, wow, you don't really love me until you get through my deception. You get through all the lies I was telling as a defensive mechanism, and let me see if you stick around, and that's when I know you really love me, because you got through the games I played. Be careful, y'all. This deception begins with yourself. They deceived themselves thinking that they had to go move and go live with some other person just because he was spitting facts. What makes you going to go live with somebody? Leave your babies? So shout out to Aaron. Again, that's what we're looking for, so that people do not repeat the same mistakes. We're looking for people in the hood, wherever, with more wisdom, learning from others' mistakes. It's the wisdom that's lacking in this culture, in this hip hop culture, in our communities that are set up as experiments. It's the wisdom that is lacking. We got knowledge for days. We got information for days. We got scientific facts for days. It's the wisdom that is lacking. The wisdom that you get from having experiences, going out and seeking new and different experiences, and coming back and you're reflecting on it, reflecting on your role in all of it, and trying to gain some wisdom after that. So like I said, so you don't repeat the same old mistakes, so you don't hurt anybody else in the same old way without even knowing it. So they even concluded that you might not know how traumatized you've been until you've gone through therapy. That's heavy. And I would say the same thing to anybody out here. As a preventative measure, or whatever you want to call it, go ahead on and get yourself some good, decent therapy, because you never know what you're covering up, deceiving yourself, right? You never know what you're trying to throw up under the rug and never really deal with, deceiving yourself. And you never know until you've had some kind of therapy, right? You may never know until you've actually had some kind of therapy. And the biggest deception is what, right? Always blaming yourself, always overly criticizing yourself and talking down on who you are and what you can do, sort of preventing yourself from shining. You elevate other things, and you support other things, and you give to other people, and you want to be seen as, but you never really gave yourself the respect yourself deserves. You sacrificed your body for somebody else. You sacrificed your mind. So the women in CarbonNation are on a whole separate thing. And I don't know how close True ever got in a sexual way with Nature Boy. I don't know. But y'all got to remember, you got to shine. You got to big up yourself, And you got to work to deserve a shine I mean, we can shine in our own way while doing nothing to improve ourselves, but you always want to be trying to get better, trying to get a little stronger, trying to get a little bit more flexible, trying to, take more and more of your vitamins, stay healthier, and never forfeit yourself. Never give up your stuff like the CarbonNation members did to nobody, let alone a gay escort of 10 years and a gay stripper. So shout out to all those that Nature Boy may have tapped, male or female. Uh, the whole idea of a guru with a bunch of people following. Let's just cut that out, and try to focus more on becoming a kind of your own leader of yourself. You look at yourself and you're like, oh, I can improve on that. All right, boom. I'm gonna go ahead and do that and get better, yo. And always get yourself some wisdom, get yourself some understanding if you can, y'all, because that's where all the secrets of life can be found. When you go out and get yourself some wisdom, when you go out and get yourself some understanding, that way you can disagree with somebody, but you can always say, I get what you're saying, man. I think I know why you end up thinking that way. I understand, man. I understand. There's no such thing as we agree to disagree. I understand where you coming from. I don't even agree with that shit, but you know what? I get it. I get what you're saying. I get it. We got more reactions here. They all constantly use animals for an example of how humans should be. That's interesting. What I appreciate the most was when Aaron said they didn't go to CarbonNation to join a cult. They went to be part of a group of people seeking a natural, self-sustaining, introspective concept of living. That's right. That's right. And we could look back and we can notice, Nature Boy didn't set out to start nothing like that where he's the master teacher, and he didn't really start it out like that either. So I get it that some people honestly came there to maybe have sex with Nature Boy. I think there was a moment where that sort of came out, that some of the ladies were really just going there to fuck Nature Boy. It wasn't about no sustaining, living nature. They wanted to fuck that dude Nature Boy. But some people, and maybe True is one of them, with the military checks, ready to go ahead and retire maybe and just chill out there on the checks. We get it. We get it. But at some point, it's switched. Things elevated. Things escalated. And they had to have known they were no longer in any kind of self-sustaining. And this is what True talks about. True and Kendra. Aaron and Kendra. They talked about the drugs, and all of a sudden they were smoking blunts. They started smoking more blunts, and then it became, we like each other more than we like the fact that we are sticking to the principles. That's how it is in a lot of different cults and churches, right? You start liking each other, and then that means no matter what each other does, you start defending each other. No matter what that pastor does, you like him. He pastored over you one day, or he helped you get saved. So therefore, the fact that he's touching on boys becomes less of an issue because you've developed a personal relationship now. Just like in CarbonNation, they developed a personal, sharing stories, y'all out here in the open. So yeah, if you start sinning, everyone has their own sin. You overlook it, no accountability. I don't know how it worked, y'all, but I do think that that's true, that they did not mean to join nothing the way that it ended. And the only way that it ended the way that it ended was not only because of the propaganda and the way Nature Boy was treating them, but also their own decision. Their own decision to say, all right, just to keep the peace here, right? Just to stick with what I started here. I'm gonna not make a big deal of what I just seen right now. I'm not gonna do that right now. Because of the relationship and all that. But again, this is a shout out to Aaron and the wisdom that he got. He didn't even deal with that question. He could have easily said, "Yeah, I think really that black women are queens, and that black women are." He didn't. That dude hit him with that long-winded question about, are you basically going to start recognizing what women are going through now? He didn't even feed into that. He said, I'm not going to be representing shit because we weren't shit for 5 years, and I'm not representing none of that. I'm not out here talking about no womanism, feminism. That dude said, you know what? I'm done with all of that. I just think that we should recognize the human in each other. And I can respect that right there, y'all. They got time to turn it around, as we said in the chat. Sunfruit says they have time to turn it around and take back either what the devil stole from them or to take back what they gave. You know what I mean? What they gave. What they gave. But this is your boy Marwan. Just wanted to touch on this because I too felt like I may have been, a little overly one way, and overly another way. I'm recognizing that, yeah, they're sort of leaving at a certain moment, which is convenient, and that's fine. Whatever, and this is what they talk about, the spectrum of trauma, the spectrum of, right? Because they are on a certain spectrum. CarbonNation members are like close to the end of the spectrum, right? Of being where you shouldn't be, of being involved in a toxic situation. CarbonNation is way at the end of that spectrum. But people go through their own little, further down the spectrum, a moment of trauma where, it's not quite the same impact as a CarbonNation, but it's tough because they felt like they were in heaven. They felt like they were in heaven. They felt like they were the chosen of all people, the elite. But now they know what the deal is, and now they understand what we were seeing the entire time. Now they sort of understand what we were seeing going on the entire time. And we were seeing some fuck shit. We were seeing some crazy shit that they were a part of, that they are no longer a part of for whatever reason. Yeah, Nature Boy's in jail, but still, they just know they're no longer a part of it. Kendra said Mexico was cool. After that, she wanted to leave. Yeah, all of that is interesting to know when they really wanted to leave, but they didn't leave. That's why in Mexico, when it comes to the confrontation, it's all about Velvet. It's all about Velvet's father in Mexico. After things, that was very critical. The way Velvet fought back, the way Velvet punched back, the way Velvet knew he was playing these games with the women and then asking her to sleep with the same women that she knew he was playing mind games with the whole time. Can you imagine? So shout out to Aaron, shout out to Kendra. They both seem to have instead of some people may think, trauma bond when it comes to the relationship of Kendra and Aaron. Is it another trauma bond? But I don't think it has to be like that. There are a couple of couples that originated in CarbonNation that are doing just fine. That it's not nothing about no trauma bond. But they definitely have a kid together right there, another child who will grow up one day and say, I was born in a cult. Some of these kids, right? Aaron's kid, not Serenity's kid, really. I don't know. Maybe Serenity, I don't know. Maybe she left before she had the kid. Velvet's kid, maybe Joy's kid. Did Joy have a kid while she was there? And Joy and Musa? Their kids are going to be older and they're going to say, I was born in a cult that both of my parents were in. That's something interesting too. That's just a reminder, when you're out here having babies, it's like, be careful because your babies are going to grow up with you as their parent. So that means you really got to make sure you're on point before you have kids. I always thought Kendra and Aaron was a beautiful family. He loved Kendra. Yeah, especially once he heard that she was no longer part of this Nature Boy program. He wasn't sure where she was going to stand on that toward the end, but they both seemed to be getting clearer in the head at the same time. And they allowed us to be witnesses to some degree. And again, like we said, luckily they're not going to be knocking on your door or coming on here trying to give you a reading or anything and lead you down another path, because they just led people down the wrong path, led themselves down the wrong path, was a misrepresentation of all things God. So I understand the intent for him and others to now be a representation of love, to be a representation of that which they did not get as members of CarbonNation. Serenity had her baby there, right? She was the first one with the, who's Jayon? Who is Jayon, I wonder? I'm not sure who Jayon is, but yeah. Oh, Zoka. Zoka fought Tanisha? Oh, y'all using their real names out here, fucking me up. Well, yeah, that's another one who we may have to hear from at some point, Zoka. Because she was gone, wasn't she? Zoka was really gone. She was out here preachifying and shaming everything but three gods. Zoka was really out there. Shout out to Armand is free. And they realized they were free the whole time. But now they got to get free as their leader remains incarcerated. Now they got to get free. And I get it. Let's do it. Zoka and Malia fought. Zoka and Malia fought. It's too bad they didn't record it. Because Malia been out here just fighting and losing and biting off titties. And it's Malia whose titty was actually bitten off. That would have been Velvet biting the titty of Malia. He said he picked her up and then left him because he was done with the switch up. It is what it is. Shout out to Aaron again, the person who wants to see everyone's humanity. He wants his humanity seen. I don't know if Nature Boy saw it, maybe at certain times, but we've seen him sort of chump Nature Boy live, at least what we thought was being chumped. The demon wasn't there, so it wasn't recorded. Isn't that how it is? The demon's out here recording your every move. He wanted to be the maintainer of their Kakakshik records or whatever you call it. He wanted to be the one to keep track of their Kakakshik records. And I know that's not how you say the word. But whoever is remaining there now, they still have a lot of fighting to do. Thank you for stepping through. This one is strictly a shout out to Aaron, y'all. This video right here. Shout out to Aaron. And to some degree to Kendra, not only for their understanding of the importance of getting mental health right, but also of really just coming out and saying, you know what? I ain't out here about to, teach y'all nothing. I know y'all like the way I sound, maybe, but I'm not out here trying to teach y'all nothing. I got to get better with myself. And that's what I suggest everybody else does. And that's the reason why we have so many different problems and so many different hypocrites and people falling from certain high positions. They never focused on themselves. They never dealt with their own addictions. They never really controlled their own anger and temperament, their own little sex deviant, whatever ideas. You got Weinstein, who's on trial right now in Los Angeles. Harvey Weinstein, who's probably going to say, hey, you can say I raped, but it wasn't rape. These women voluntarily came and wanted to give me some ass for a role in the movie. And then there may have been some women he tried to put in fucked up positions and predicaments. Unhealthy people in powerful positions of influence, miseducating and misleading people, misguiding people because they never properly guided themselves. No matter what education they got, no matter what position they reached in life, they could be pastor, they could be pope, and they could be still out here smoking dope. And now Nature Boy is a Muslim. And it's all of a sudden all about Allahu Akbar. Conveniently, right? Keep it in context. Jail, Muslim, that sort of goes hand in hand. So I just wanted to come through here and say what's up to y'all real quick. I've been doing some hot yoga recently, so I feel a lot better inside and out. Hot yoga's no joke, but it definitely makes you feel good. Inside out, it's healing from the inside out. Yeah, they went from breathing the air of Costa Rica to smoking blunts every 5 minutes. And then he said he knew something wasn't right. But did you ever check him on that? No. Did you ever test him on that? No. You just filed it in the back of your mind and kept on living, kept on smoking. Oh, maybe this is high vibration. Maybe if we smoke weed, it's not that big of a deal. If Babylon smokes weed, though, it's a big of it because they are not the chosen, right? Because now it's to the point where, right, they see themselves in such a way that no matter what they did, that they feel like they are so chosen that they would be all right. Even if they smoked a little blunt, that they would be all right. Even if they got into a little physicality, they would be all right because they're so chosen of people. No matter what they do, it's going to be a blessing. I don't think so. Armand, which one is Armand, y'all? I think y'all are using a lot of the official names. Who is awoke Armand? Is that Pisces? Is that Pisces? Who is Armand? Shout out to Armand. But this here video is definitely meant for Aaron, showing some wisdom in that interview. Shout out to all the remaining whoever's that may be struggling on the curb. They may be out here sleeping and they may be out here hoeing. They might be out here doing all type of thing. Pisces is Armand. Shout out to Pisces and any sort of mental health challenges or issues you're dealing with. Keep on keeping on. This may be a lifelong thing, and enjoy that whole endeavor of getting closer to your own spirit, right? Bigging up yourself and recognizing the humanity in others on some namaste shit. I see you. The spirit in me sees the spirit in you, and I recognize that. And that's all you need. You don't need to be joining no groups. You don't need to be shaming people who are not in your group. You don't need to feel, right? So we appreciate the wisdom, Aaron. We appreciate the insight and all that. Kendra, step 1, you've passed with flying colors. Now keep on keeping on, just for the sake of Jahumi and for the sake of your own spirits. that you are now beginning to, right, detoxify your own spirits, rinsing them out, drying it out, and repeat, because you were just involved in some deep, deep, muddy waters, and you just want to come out clean. And you just want to come out clean because some of y'all were some of the most stubborn ones up in there. Some of y'all were so ride or die that maybe he had to go to jail for you all to begin to fly. That he had to go to jail for some of y'all. He had to go. This was the only way y'all niggas was going anywhere. So shout out to all y'all who began to see and are beginning to do your thing. Shout out to everybody in the chat who came true here today. Shout out to everyone and the humanity in you, because I am a human being. You are a human being. And at every turn, you have to demand to be treated like one, or get out of the way, or get out of that environment. You are a human being, ladies and gentlemen. Don't ever let anyone treat you less than that. Peace out. One love. Thank you for coming true. Again, enjoy my favorite month of the year, November. It's a big deal, y'all. Peace out. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.